Star Wars controversy. Doctor Who controversy. James Bond controversy. Star Trek controversy. MCU controversy. DCEU controversy. Anime controversy. Oh, for heaven's sake! Whatever happened to the days when movies were just movies?
They officially ended in 2016 with the Ghostbusters reboot.
Oh yes. How could I forget? You think escapism will ever become fashionable again?
Don't kid yourself, Omni. It was never fashionable. Pure escapism, entertainment for the sake of entertainment, things like that. It's always been frowned on by critics.
Not by us, it hasn't.
Well, we're not your typical talking heads.
Yeah, I know. I just wish I could talk about movies again without having to navigate all of the excess baggage.
I hear that. At least we have the old movies to revisit, you know?
Indeed we do. Which is probably why I've been watching more of those recently. Call me old-fashioned, call me an antiquarian, or just outright dismiss me with an okay boomer. I don't care. The fact is, I'm getting far more enjoyment out of older films than I am out of newer films these days.
Older films aren't stuffed to bursting with politics and ideology, and those that do have such elements handle them in a way that doesn't feel condescending and usually don't let those elements interfere with the story. Even though I enjoy discussing deeper themes on this channel, I mostly look for my entertainment to be entertaining first and foremost, and the rest is gravy.
That's why today's film is so special to me, because its deeper meaning is about not having a deeper meaning and just being fun. And that film is The Bandwagon, starring Fred Astaire and Sid Charisse.
In 1953, Tony Hunter is washed up. He used to be Hollywood's greatest song and dance man, but the times have changed and he's just not bankable anymore. Rather than going quietly into that good night, Tony has returned to New York City for a stint on the Great White Way. His old friends, playwrights Lester and Lily Martin, have written him a ridiculous vaudevillian musical that plays to Tony's strengths, a show with a very thin plot about an author known for writing children's books but who has a lucrative side job writing very mature dime store mystery novels. However, the director they bring in, the avant-garde Jeffrey Cordova, sees the potential to have this be a thematically rich retelling of Faust. From there, the drama is just as bad offstage as it is onstage, particularly between Tony and Gabrielle Gerard, the young ballerina he's meant to dance with.
In terms of a proper review, I'll say that anyone who enjoys musicals will get a kick out of The Bandwagon. I would put it right up there with Singin' in the Rain, White Christmas, and Fiddler on the Roof in terms of quality, and it just might be one of the best musical comedies ever committed to film.
Everything you could possibly want from this kind of film is on full display, from the memorable musical numbers to the wide variety of jokes. I love just about everything in The Bandwagon.
Heck, I even own the soundtrack CD, which is literally just audio ripped straight from the movie, complete with sound effects and dialogue breaks. But I don't care, because the music is just that good.
About the only things I could say against it are little nitpicky things, like the occasional misunderstanding of theater traditions, or how the very first scene, though funny, is completely unnecessary. Beyond that, The Bandwagon is a treat the whole way through.
Wait a minute, this is supposed to be a review. You must have more to say than that.
Oh, I most certainly do, but it's not along the usual lines. You may recall a few minutes ago, I was lamenting the seeming death of escapism. Every movie these days has to have meaning, even if it needs to be shoehorned in by people looking to stir up controversy.
Sure, I recall. I was there for the whole thing. But what does any of that have to do with The Bandwagon?
Well, Snazzy, you could say The Bandwagon champions escapism over high art. Its deeper meaning is that you don't need a deeper meaning in order to be good.
In many ways, The Bandwagon is a very metafictional film. That description of Tony Hunter being a washed-up actor could also be used to describe Fred Astaire at that point in time. Despite being a Hollywood darling in the 30s and early 40s, he had fallen out of style by the 50s, and this film was meant to be his big comeback.
In fact, there was initial trepidation about whether or not Astaire would accept the role because it might have hit a little too close to home. Fortunately, he had no issue with that at all.
Furthermore, there was plenty of genuine drama during production, all of which had to be overcome to get the film finished. You could say that of all the movies directed by Vincent Minnelli, this might be the most true to life, even if it was by accident.
But there's far more to the metafiction than just art imitating life. It also extends to how the film is quite bold in its valuing of escapism.
The Bandwagon has nothing profound to say about politics, war, gender, or any aspect of life, and it's proud of that fact. Moreover, it openly mocks the notion of being profound and artistic.
Note that initial scene where the show within a show's plot is first described.
Tony and the Martins are enthusiastic about putting on a straightforward piece of fluff, something that has just enough plot to be interesting, but which is ultimately just a silly, pointless musical comedy. All of their enthusiasm gets sucked right out of them as soon as Cordova says the word Faust, and starts pushing the show in an avant-garde direction.
Interestingly, Cordova's justification is not entirely off base, at least not at first.
The song That's Entertainment, which made its debut in this film, makes an excellent case for all kinds of performances being equally relevant. Indeed, the song has also been interpreted as a way to summarize Vincent Minnelli's genre-spanning filmography. Then again, they say the road to hell is paved with the best of intentions, and Cordova obviously gets carried away with his desire to make the show meaningful. He becomes so enraptured by the potential for mythic ideals and social commentary that he winds up overproducing the show into oblivion and making an absolute train wreck.
A more recent real-life example of this happening on Broadway would be Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Seriously, the parallels are kind of eerie when you line them up with this movie.
Anyway, getting back on track, the result within the film is brilliantly displayed with 3 drawings. You know it's going wrong, then all hope is lost, and you know you've laid an egg.
Ah, but this isn't a tragedy. It's a comedy. Ergo, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So, the team behind the failed show rallies together and goes back to their original plan.
They're not going to make high art, they're just going to have fun and take the audience along for the ride, and this is what ultimately leads to success. Within the film, audiences love this new show that, based on what little we see of it, doesn't seem at all concerned with making statements, or even making sense. Exactly how the songs relate to the previously described plot is beyond me, to say nothing of what happens in the Girl Hunt Ballet.
Yes, I should probably land on this number for just a moment, as it further emphasizes the point of being pointless.
This is considered the most iconic part of the movie, a 12-minute long satire of pulpy detective stories, and it is deliberately ridiculous. If you try analyzing the narrative from a logical perspective, the only conclusion to reach is,
this doesn't make a lick of sense.
But in doing so, you would also have missed the point. Of course the Girl Hunt Ballet makes no sense. It's not supposed to make sense. It's just meant to be stylish fun, and it most certainly is. In the end, that's all it needs to be.
In a grander sense, that can be said of the Bandwagon itself. The movie's primary goal is to show the audience a good time, with or without context.
Case in point, the shoe shine number doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the film and is only there to provide an upbeat number after the slightly more melancholic By Myself. Narratively speaking, it's a distraction that doesn't need to be there, but I would never want it cut from the film because it's a great sequence.
But earlier you said That's Entertainment literally sings the praises of all kinds of art, from the meaningless to the meaningful. So doesn't the outright rejection of meaningful art for meaningless art go against that?
Fair point, so maybe there's another way to put it. The song That's Entertainment puts forth the notion that all forms of entertainment are equal in value. But that's not always the case if you listen to what the critics and stuffed shirts have to say. The film analysts and award ceremonies say the only good art is thought-provoking art, and even then, only certain kinds qualify. They value drama over comedy, realism over fantasy, live action over animation, and commentary over escapism. Anything that deviates from a very narrow set of qualifications is deemed pointless drivel to be avoided, a mere distraction from the profound. Yet the people who think that have missed the whole point. Just because you can put commentary in your work doesn't mean you need to, and not doing it doesn't make your work any less valuable. Sometimes the audience wants to see something thought-provoking, and sometimes they just want to turn their brains off for a while. Sometimes the artist wants to say something profound, and sometimes he just wants to make people laugh. No single option is better or worse than the other. The most important thing is that you make a quality piece of art that people will enjoy. As the song says, that's entertainment.
You were just dying to work that into the dialogue, weren't you?
I'd be remiss if I didn't.
You know, I think we are seeing a bit of a shift recently. At least some of the news out of Hollywood points toward entertainment being valued over ideology again.
One can only hope those rumors are true. But until then, we've got movies like The Bandwagon to provide us with what we need. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
It's weird, but the Girl Hunt Ballet is giving me an odd sense of deja vu.
Maybe a slight alteration will jog your memory.
You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. The Girl Hunt Ballet was a direct inspiration for the Smooth Criminal music video.
Heh. You learn something new every day.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it as well as subscribe to the channel for more content of a similar nature. Also, check the description for links to our Twitter, DeviantArt, and Patreon pages, as well as the Amazon link for the novel Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, penned by yours truly. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.